Before you can start creating your environment or working on your game, you have to have your design and conceptualization done, as I mentioned in a previous video. Okay, so first thing you want to do, you want to make sure that your overall theme is taken care of. So you want to ask yourself a few questions. What is the theme you're trying to achieve? Make sure you can answer that without hesitation. You have to make sure that your theme is well thought out and that you've decided on it and you know that's what you're going to go for. You also have to ask yourself a couple more questions. Does your theme have consistency? And is your theme coherent? Okay. So if you look at a game like Killzone 3, for example, for the PlayStation 3, that game is kind of gritty, very dark, has a lot of contrast between light and shadows. There's a very strong ambient occlusion effect going on in that game. And that's sort of the gritty, dirty, industrial sort of theme that they went for. And if you look at games and you analyze them with that in mind, you'll notice that each game, or at least successful games, will have a theme that's coherent and consistent from beginning to end. Okay? And that's what you need to do with your games as well. Reference is very important. Once you have a theme down and you know what you're going to do, you need reference. So reference means collecting as much photographic reference as possible if available. So nowadays you can collect a lot of photographic reference off of something like, say, a Google image search. It's extremely important, very valuable tool in your arsenal. And if your theme has no photos, for example, let's say you're doing a sci-fi futuristic theme that's set on another planet in the future, obviously you can't find photographs of something like that, of a base on, say, a moon on Jupiter, because it doesn't exist. So in that case, when you have things that are based on fantasy, sci-fi, the future, things like that, you're going to need concept artists to create concept paintings and sketches and things like that so that you have some concepts. So if you don't have photograph for your theme, then you're going to need concept images, lots and lots of concept paintings, concept art, okay? Okay, I'm inside of Maya right now, and you can see here the scene from Volume 1 of the training series of products on Unity game development. And this is the scene. Obviously, it doesn't have the pretty lighting that we did in Volume 1 inside of the using a Beast light mapper and deferred rendering and real-time lighting. But it's pretty much a place to create the scene. A scene like this would be created inside of a program like Maya, for example, or any digital content creation package. And then you would export this and take this all to the Unity engine, or pretty much any game engine that you're working with, not just Unity. So this scene here has a fair amount of detail. The triangle count is kept in check. There's not really a lot of triangles here. I pushed it pretty far. I wanted the game to run with a good amount of performance, but again, you also want to make sure that your environment looks really good, because the quality of games nowadays, the standard, the bar is set so high on graphical quality. They really can't hold back too much. You got to find ways to balance out quality and performance. So you can see here we have on the ceiling, we have cables kind of hanging down from the ceiling, these light fixtures. We've got sort of air conditioning ducts and air vents and stuff like that. And then you can see that the warehouse itself is populated with a bunch of stuff that you would expect to see in this kind of an environment, like these oil drums over here, which are dented up, dinged up. We've got wood pallets all over the place. We've got dirt and debris and just the kind of typical stuff that you would find in some kind of environment like this. Okay? Alright. If I do a search here for, say, abandoned warehouse interior, because that's the theme that I settled on, and we make it an image search, we can see that a lot of images show up here on interior spaces of abandoned warehouses. And if we look at these, we can see how the space looks, how the lighting should look, which areas should be dark. If you're doing your scene in the daytime, like I did with my scene, then you might want to have skylights and windows all over the environment, where light can kind of just come in from the sun, see that, and kind of light up certain spots. But then there's areas in the back over here that just don't have a lot of light reaching it, and those areas can be pretty dark and have a lot of contrast and shadows. So I decided on my theme, but it was well thought out. It wasn't like just sitting there and going like, hey, let me do a warehouse interior and just get started working. No, it takes time. You have to sit down, think about a few themes, make a list of a few themes you'd like to do, and then go over the pros and cons of developing each theme. What would a player like to play in better than this? What would fit for my game style? If I'm doing a first-person, mature, serious, gritty shooter, Do I want to do a level that takes place in a Candyland or something like that, or would I rather have a level that takes place in a gritty, abandoned old warehouse where players can run around and shoot each other and blow stuff up? So it's got to be well thought out. You got to sit down and think about this. Okay, so you can see here by going to Google, again, you can get some great reference images, photographs of your scene. In the case of an abandoned warehouse, it's something that exists in real life, so chances are you will find lots of photographic reference, which is a huge plus. However, if I was doing, again, something sci-fi or something that doesn't exist, Google's not going to help too much. I'm going to have to go ahead and get hold of some concept artists, make a concept art team, and have them just flesh out original concept art on the theme that I'm trying to make. After you collect lots of reference images, what you have to do is you have to organize and plan. Okay, planning is extremely important. One of the first things you want to do is make an inventory list of all the assets that you need for the environment of your game. Okay, so you don't want to just sit there and go, okay, let me start working on a wood pallet, and then finish and go, okay, what's next? What would be in a warehouse? Maybe a brick wall? No, you don't want to do that. Before you open up your 3D package, you want to work on a list of assets that you're going to need for your environment. Any ideas or special notes should be organized neatly on paper. Very important. Make sure you have all your ideas organized. When it comes to something as complex and involved as game development, don't wing it. Okay, don't decide, well, I'm just going to go through it and, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Don't do that. And finally, just to add a little cliche on there, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. It's a cliche, yes, but it's very true. Don't find out the hard way why you should put stuff on paper and plan it out and not wing game development. This isn't something you want to wing, okay? Game development is very involved, it's very complex, it's very demanding, and very time consuming. If you don't plan stuff out, you're going to waste a lot of time, and in the end, you're not going to get anything done. You're just going to get frustrated. So, very important to organize and plan everything.